Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another Faith Over Fears podcast. I want to give a thank you and a God bless to all of you being here and listening into the podcast today, because as always, you guys are the ones that help us and support us through this and keep our podcast going. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with the short story for today, and the short story is me and a buddy of mine, Jack Norenberg. We've been talking a lot, and we're wanting to buy some land, and he will hopefully and eventually become a co-host of this podcast. So when he becomes the co-host, I'll kind of give everyone more details about him and where you can find him. But yeah, he and I have been buddies ever since, I would say, early middle school to late middle school, and he and I have been really tight bros since then. And now, since we're out of high school, we're looking to buy some land and even live together for a bit, which is awesome, and I'm so pumped for, because I've been wanting to buy some land, but also, maybe have like an apartment buddy or a roommate, and he came to me and he was like, "Yo, dude, I'd be down." And so it's coming along pretty well so far. We're just kind of looking around for some land to buy, and but yeah, again, like I said, really exciting, very pumped for it. But yeah, anyways, we will go ahead and move on to the hat questions. So the first question I have here, or statement actually, it says most challenging accomplishment. And for me, I'm currently in the process of a few, one being buying some land, like I said earlier, with my buddy Jack and I, trying to acquire and buy our own land. So that's currently in process, as well as another in process goal of mine is to buy a 1969 Stingray Corvette. That is my favorite car in the entire car world. And to be honest, I'm not really one of those new car or like the Lamborghinis, Ferraris, those really don't get to me or anything. They don't really impress me. And I don't know why. I'm just assuming because my parents raised me liking a lot of older things. One being like music. I love like 80s music, like Earth, Wind and Fire, the Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, the Commodores, Kool and the Gang, Casey and the Sunshine. I was raised basically, I tell people this a lot, but I feel like I was raised in a different era, mostly because of how my parents raised me, and it's definitely not a bad thing. So yeah, that's that kind of wraps up my two most challenging accomplishments. The next question asks, should we be more in touch with nature and why? Me personally, I love nature, but I don't like bugs. I'm kind of a city boy. I didn't really grow up with a lot of bugs in our house. When I was a child, though, I'm sure I ate a few, so that wasn't really, then I wasn't worried about it, but now I used to, I picked up fears of spiders and stuff. But yeah, I think getting in touch with nature is such an important thing for anyone, because I heard somewhere, or I think I read it somewhere, that in general, the color green improves your mood and your mental health, and what other thing can provide as much green than nature itself? So, being able to go out and see beautiful views of the trees and the plains, or just a grass field, that to me is very satisfying, to see all the growth and the nature just living there peacefully and providing for itself and organisms around it. So that's one reason why I think we should stay more in touch with nature, because it's it's a healthy lifestyle in a way. And then second off, I think it's great because it gives us a better interaction with things. So with me, I had better interactions and relationship with my uncle because he and I would go hunting. Now, granted, that's not going out and just bird watching or looking at the trees, but we would go into the woods or on some land that he owned, and it was, like at night you couldn't really see anything, but as like when the sun would rise in the morning, it was just beautiful. Like I couldn't describe or tell you about another time that I saw something as good or even better than that scene. Just staying in the woods and having the bright pinkish yellowish sun rise, and outlining the dark trees around us. It was pretty amazing. And like I said, for those who don't remember, I've been to Brazil twice and Africa once. And although the places that I went were more in like the poverty places, they were still so much more beautiful than what am I saying? They were so much. They were much more beautiful than any like county or city in like America, in my opinion, because it's just natural. It's not like man-made, and I'm not saying man-made things are bad, but because like let's say for instance a bridge, okay? I didn't make the bridge, so I can't really consider it an accomplishment. And that's because someone else made it. Now, the person who made that bridge might see it as a really nice touch or a beautiful piece that's added to the scenery, whether it's over a river, over a train, or whatever the case may be. And again, since I didn't create it, I don't see the beauty in it, I just see its purpose. Whereas nature, I see its beauty and its purpose because, one, its purpose is there for our mental health as well as our own use for materials. So yeah, that was kind of my thoughts on the should we become more in touch with nature and why. And I know there's a lot of people who, especially in my generation, they kind of, they're like way better with technology, and I think that's beneficial for where our generation is, because once we find that thing that we're good at and that we want to keep doing and keep providing and for like other people, I think we should continue doing that. But for me personally, again, it's just like staying more in touch with nature, even if it's just like start planting just one thing in your house, and keeping up with it. Because one, it's like a responsibility thing, but like it's so worth it because over the time that you spend nurturing it and keeping it stable and all those things, it's really quite satisfying seeing like the progress you make with it. And I took horticulture class in my junior year of high school, and I would say confidently that it was my favorite class out of high school because of how satisfying and involved I felt, with like growing things and feeling more accomplished like once it was done, because not only like once it was finished, it's a beautiful sight. It's like, oh wow, like a tomato plant, and it's got green leaves, it's got tomatoes which I can eat, again for the purpose of it providing food, as well as other things like keeping certain pests and animals away from the plants and just stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So, okay, before I continue on and not stop, I'll go ahead and just cut myself off there. Now, that's probably going to wrap it up for today's episode, but I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some more info about things that might be occurring soon. Again, just to recap, my my best friend Jack will sooner or later become a co-host with me on the Faith Over Fears podcast. And if you haven't seen the Faith Over Fears news, that is also a great way to stay connected and stay updated with current news and daily events that have happened within the past few days. So if you guys are interested in news or anything like that, you guys should definitely go check that out. And we will also be having a Faith Over Fears interviews segment coming out soon that will be more involved with our audience and several people involved with the coronavirus, and they will be giving us their input and thoughts about the virus and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested at all, go ahead and check those things out for yourself whenever you have the time. So lastly, again, the Bible verse of the day. I would say look over the first chapter of Genesis. And for those of you who may not really understand it, I read it a few months ago, and it just kind of popped up in my head. I had a different one, but the first chapter of Genesis was very important because it's basically the layout that describes how everything occurred. And so I hope that someone out there kind of reads this chapter, or at least a few verses in that first chapter, and kind of gets what they're looking for. So once again, guys, I want to thank you all, and God bless you all for being here. It really means a lot to us. Like, we cannot further explain our thankfulness and gratitude for you guys being here. So thanks again. God bless, and see ya.